and welcome back to our blind read-through of Saya no Uta, the Song of Saya. The last time we were together, we found out a whole great big bunch about our girl Saya. She can apparently play with people's brains and make them see the world in the same way that Fuminori does. I don't know what those implications mean, and I don't know what they mean for what's already happened in the story, but yeah, there's a whole lot going on with our new cute little girlfriend that I imagine is all gonna come tumbling out pretty soon. With that in mind, let's get ourselves back down here, because the last time we were together, we had a decision to make. We hop down here and go ahead and load the save file and jump back in. Saya offered us the choice of reworking our brain to the way that it used to be, or we're just gonna forsake the world and be done with it all. And I figure that this story does not continue in any satisfying way. If we choose to kind of let Fuminori go back to the way things were, I figure we need to kind of let go of our humanity and just fucking do the thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what this does, though, because I think that exploring all the endings of a visual novel is usually a good idea, because sometimes that often provides extra context or supports the theming of things going forward. So we want it all back. We want to go back to normal.
そりゃもちろん戻れるっていうのなら元に戻りたいと。
Well, of course I answer without thinking. If it's possible to go back, then I want to. I think. I never wondered if there could be any other answer. I stopped dwelling on this question a long time ago, and if I'd been asked before I met Saya, I wouldn't have hesitated. But what about now? What does it mean to wish for the past, and what could it do to me and Saya? As soon as these questions occur to me, my true feelings become unclear. The hurried answer I just gave her was less certain than I thought.
そう。そうよね。当たり。
Saya smiles softly, her expression an unreadable mixture of what seemed to be sorrow and relief. Seeing it fills me with sudden unease, as though I've just wounded her deeply with my careless words.
さや、僕は。
いいの、ふみのり。もう何も言わないで。
Saya silences me with another kiss and thrusts her tongue into my mouth with an even greater passion than before. As the sweet softness of her tongue clouds my mind, I begin to feel an urgent need to say what she prevented me from saying, to speak those most important words.
さや。
I can't speak for some reason, and my mind is hazy. My consciousness is slipping away as the euphoria from her kiss spreads to my entire
お
body.
やすみなさい。ふみのり。
Sleep well, Fuminori, I hear Saya whisper softly from far away.
心配しないで。次に目が覚めるときには何もかもが
Don't
終わってい
worry,
るから。
when you wake up, it'll all be over. Wait, I have to tell you something before I sleep. Just one thing. My efforts are meaningless, however, as oblivion calls me into its embrace. When I awoke, the first thing that greeted me was a terrible stink. Mr. Suzumi's body was covered in flies, and I could smell the rotten stench that you would expect from a corpse. The night had ended, but Saya was nowhere to be seen in the morning light. Aside from the blood-covered floor, the kitchen looked the same as it had before the accident. In the den, however, the colors had been so soothing the day before now served as a stark reminder of what a distant world I'd been living in. Despite knowing that it would be futile, I wandered the house searching for Saya. For almost an hour, I tried in vain to deny reality. When I called the police, Then I called the police. When the operator answered, I couldn't stop myself from crying. It had been such a long time since I had heard a human voice other than Saya's. As became clear later, Mr. Suzumi had murdered his family before I killed him. Unable to give the police a satisfactory explanation, I was arrested for all 3 murders, and when they found the remains of Takehata and Omi in my house, a 4th was added to the charges, along with 1 count of mutilating a corpse. During my interrogation, I told them everything exactly as it happened, in every detail. The detectives didn't believe me, of course, but the psychiatrist who came later did. He had me moved from the jail to a much cleaner white room. That's right. This room looks just as white to me as it does to everyone else. In the end, they declared me incapable of answering for my actions. Everything that had happened to me was real, but part of a reality incompatible with the rest of the world. So the doctors gave me a tiny space all to myself, a place where I could live in my own reality. I am sad that I wasn't believed, but I know that it couldn't be helped. In this world, reality is what a majority says it is, and I had the misfortune to step outside that box. The walls of my room are undeniably white. That, at least, I can be thankful for as I live out the rest of my life here. Everyone said that there had never been any girl named Saya. Well, so be it. Saya was probably never part of their world. But why shouldn't I be able to hear Saya's voice here, in my room? This is my world, after all, a continuation of the very real time that we spent together. How long did I wait with such thoughts floating through my mind? One night, I awoke to the sound of something crawling down the hallway. The sound would not normally have woken me up, but I must have had a premonition that night. Sleeping lighter than usual, I had waited for her arrival, and so I knew instantly that it was her.
サヤなんだね。
Are we gonna actually get to see her? Or I don't even know that I want to. I think this game would probably be more effective if we don't see her grotesque, fleshy tentacle form. She did not answer, but I could feel her outside my door, struggling with some internal conflict.
どうして声を聞かせてくれないんだ。
After a long silence, something small slid through the narrow bars of my peephole. It was a cell phone, the screen already showing a notepad with freshly entered text. My voice will sound strange to you. I couldn't suppress a chuckle at Saya's uncharacteristic display of shyness.
そんなこと僕は全然気にならないよ。君の声が聞きたい。姿が見たい。
I don't care about that at all, I said, sending the phone back through the bars. I just want to hear you, see you. After a short pause, the phone returned to my side. Please let me stay the Saya you remember.
そうか。
I've started to suspect that it might be so. And the hell my eyes had made the world, Saya alone had looked normal. I thought that she was somehow unique. In truth, however, she had probably been a different kind of unique than I had imagined. It wasn't that my senses hadn't distorted her appearance, but that she had been so unusual as to seem normal to my twisted mind. Saya's true form was something other than what I had known. Now, however, I could see her as she really was. But Saya didn't want that. It was not for me to question the workings of her heart. I just had to accept that girls need to keep some things private.
あの日君に言おうとしてたこと保留になってたの覚えてる。
I slid the phone back to her. I was hoping you'd forgotten. I smiled wryly at the text on the screen, wondering if she really thought me so
忘
heartless.
れたりするもんか。
No one is listening, but still, it would have been embarrassing to speak the rest out loud, so this time I typed it into the phone. I wonder how this plays for people who did not use flip phones or who did not grow up with flip phones. I imagine like there are a lot of people living right now that have no idea how this texting system works on a flip phone. I got really proficient at this shit back in the day. I was so good. I even used an early version of Twitter on a flip phone. Yeah. And if you don't know what's going on here, you just look at the last letter typed per line, and that's how you get your message. I know that that's not something I should have to explain to most people, but I am sure that there are people out there who do not know how that texting system worked. I slid the phone back through the slot. I could sense her trembling outside my door. I couldn't see her or hear her, but still I knew. Saya was crying.
僕は構わなかったんだよ。
Perhaps my words offered no comfort, spoken so late. Even so, I was ready. I had wanted to return to my old life, true, but I would have abandoned that wish for Saya. I know that I would have gone with her hand in hand as far as we could, even to the most forbidden of places. Saya, too, must have known that I was prepared, and because she knew, she stopped me from saying those words. If I had spoken that oath, there would have been no going back. I'm sorry I was a coward. Seeing the words on the screen, I shook my head.
君だけが悪いんじゃない。あの時僕に迷いがなければ、君だって勇気を出せた。そうだろう。
I was afraid of you, of how you were changing because of me.
仕方ないさ。
Saya couldn't bring herself to take everything from me, and I couldn't bring myself to give up everything for her. We were too weak to find happiness.
さやはこれからどうするんだい？
I'll keep searching for my dad. He'll know how to send me back to where I came from.
そうか。帰りたいんだね、さやは。
A short time passed with no words or messages exchanged. I wonder how many times in that brief silence yes and no changed places in her mind. Yeah. When the phone finally returned, the characters on the screen seemed strangely uncertain.
そうか。お父さん、見つかるといいね。
I'll do my best. The time had come for our parting. She had chosen her path, and I had given her my blessing. There was nothing more to be said.
もしも気が変わったら、僕はずっとここにいるから、いつでも来ていいからね。
I will, thank you. Goodbye, Fuminori. I read her final message and returned the phone to the other
さ
side.
ようなら、さや。
She gently slapped the door in response, and then I heard the sound of her sliding off down the hallway. And I was left alone in the silence of the night. Ever since that day, I have been waiting. Perhaps Saya really did return to where she came from. Perhaps she's still wandering today, looking for her father. It must be hard. She must be lonely. When she can no longer stand being alone, she will surely return to me. I am the only one who will comfort her and whisper sweet nothings in her ear. And so I wait, dreaming of her face and voice. I wait, forever, in my white world. That was actually that was sad in a way that I hadn't anticipated, even though, we are dealing with characters who, one of which is an absolute monster, in the actual truest sense, one who is willing to become a monster for this person's sake. This is a very interesting take on the love story because it's coming from such a fucked up place that it's very easy to kind of, I think, not see what it's going for. But I really like what's going on here in terms of creating characters who are, or who can be seen as objectively bad, but humanizing them in a way that is you still feel something for them in the end. When you get to this point, you understand that there's still a very real passion there, and I think that's pretty rad. Like, this is a very cool and fun way to play with, like, sort of the tragic love story dynamic. And I'm really, really, really interested in seeing where we're gonna go. Since we're going to, like, dive headfirst in, like, we will follow this girl to, the edge, off the diving board into the pool of insanity, because that's how much we're bought in now. So I will let this song play out, and then we will roll into our outro, and then we'll be back next time. It's nice to see localization staff get credits in a visual novel. I don't actually see this a lot. I know that the visual novels that I professionally worked on, I did not get a credit in the localization staff. So, yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked that this is a thing that I'm seeing. This is probably one of the very few times I've seen localization staff credited directly in game. So I guess that is it for now. This will obviously be going up the same day as the 6th part, since it is a much shorter thing. But I like that a lot. I thought that was real. Like, it was it was unsatisfying in the way that it needed to be unsatisfying for you to absolutely want to go back in and dig for more. But it also really gets across, like, the passion that they're trying to express of these characters. Like, there's a very real connection there, regardless of the circumstances by which it was created. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing just how much more depraved we're just going to go from here. Like, I think we're just going to dive off the deep end and be done with it. And why not? Dive off the deep end and just enjoy the ride, I suppose. So, we'll be back next time. Thanks for joining me. You have a nice rest of your whatever, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.